What's up, y'all? Tuesday. What, did you not know we were going live?
No, I didn't.
Are you not familiar with the setup
I didn't
here?
know you were going to open us up with, what's up, y'all?
I always do that. I sometimes do that.
I feel like you
I did that this time.
On occasion, maybe done that.
How is everybody? Happy Tuesday. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you,
Always
Tim.
good for the audio check. Jared is in as well. Terry maybe too. It is Jared's birthday.
Happy
so everyone
birthday.
say happy birthday to Halloween Haunts 365. Check their content out if you haven't. And I see Tim has been busy dropping some hot takes.
Dropping some hot takes.
I feel like you pointed this out when you saw this one come in. I feel like that's not so controversial as you might think.
At least in the circles we run in, I feel like Steel Vengeance has been like
this one maybe possibly slightly more controversial. Copperhead over Fury 325.
I will say we cannot personally comment on the Steel Vengeance.
Of those four coasters, that's the only one we haven't read.
Yeah.
Read.
We haven't read that book.
We ain't read that book yet. Okay, y'all. We have presently, let me check because it changes sometimes. We have 2,485 subscribers as of this moment on YouTube. Let's see when the live stream is done how many of you stuck around, because we have some hot takes tonight. I feel like, though, if anyone saw the thumbnail, like those are some of the hottest takes of at least the coaster community. So I feel like maybe we'll be okay. I don't know. We're asking for trouble a little bit tonight.
We're stirring the pot.
It's on the list, man. It's on the list.
Made it
Although I will say I absolutely 100% refuse to call it Steve. Because if I enjoy it, I'm not going to say that was a good ride on Steve.
Maybe I will.
All right. So before we go anywhere, our socials are Tim and Katie. Obviously, YouTube is our primary. That's where you're probably watching now, unless this has been reshared, in which case, thank you, whoever did that. We do have Facebook and Blue Sky under that username as well. We also have The Real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads. Instagram is where we do more visual stuff, sometimes short-form content and reels.
Threads is where we'll post the hot takes.
Threads is usually, Threads is where the sassiness goes. So if you haven't heard any of these hot takes from us before, there's a chance you're not following us on Threads. We can fix that real quick. And then our website is timandkt.net, timandkt.com works just as well. There's a redirect. It's where we post opinion pieces, but also like some blogs and news and occasionally a little live stream plug. Yep. It's almost caught up, guys. It's this close to being caught up. It is caught up in terms of chronology, but it is not caught up in terms of all the content we've ever posted. Yeah. So, what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about our hot takes.
Our hot takes
on theme parks. Some of them.
What is a hot take, Katie?
What is a hot take? Okay, I guess it's
for the layman.
It's in opinion. I will say that in the first place, it's an opinion that maybe I think somewhat controversial, or at least there may be some discussion around it.
Stirring up
some feelings
trouble is what we're doing in a nutshell. As Katie said, these are just opinions. Yeah. So controversial as they may be within the theme park community, and not all of them will be. Honestly, I think if we can make it through the first couple, which are largely, first of all, no park is safe. So we didn't pick on like just any park. It wasn't just like small parks or just big parks or No, this is within the theme park and amusement park space. No one is safe.
Yeah.
We have hot takes on everything.
We do have a couple that are definitely park specific.
A few that goes against the norm.
But a few. Sorry, that's a good definition.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, we have a few hot takes that are definitely like calling out a particular thing about a particular park, but there are several that are general that can be
that
applied.
Are just industry wide.
Yeah, almost.
What's up, Dewey?
Hello.
Welcome in.
Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
joining.
you. Okay, so our theme park hot takes. The reason we wanted to do this is twofold. Number one, we thought it would be fun.
Yeah.
But number two, I also feel like there's a lot of, when we started in 2020, and we talked about this on the last live stream too, we were largely a theme park focused channel. We did Disney, we did Hershey, we did Dorney early on too. We did Knoebels, we did whatever was in striking distance of us. And that was originally kind of the focus of our channel. As we've grown, we have done a lot of travel, a lot of resorts, a lot of just kind of random roadside attractions. We also do obviously a lot of haunts, which is what many of you will know us for today. But theme parks are still a big part of our channel. So the reason we don't consider ourselves to be theme park vloggers after all of that is largely because of these hot takes, because a lot of the people in the community, I think, would shun us for some of the things we have to say about theme parks. We'll see, though. I mean, we'll get into it, and then you guys can form your own opinions. Incidentally, if you have your own hot takes, as Tim's kind of already gotten the ball rolling here, Storming Thrills with his hot take on Steel Vengeance versus Iron Gwazi. Oh, it's going to be a night. Iron Gwazi or Copperhead, which is Copperhead Strike over Fury 325 at Carowinds. If you have your own hot takes, feel free to drop them in. We'd love to talk about them.
If you vehemently disagree with one of ours, let us know.
We're going to start strong.
We're not beyond.
We're going to start strong. Believe you me.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we have 12. Did we assign 12? And
some
of them
counted out 12.
Some of them have hot takes tucked into hot takes
too.
So like there's sub takes. Let's see. Also, yes. 100% agree with this about Jared. He is hot take 101. So if he can survive on the internet, so can we. Oh,
hey,
Jamie and Ari, welcome. All right. Let's start with a big one.
Yep.
I think there is an audience that will agree with this. I genuinely do.
Yeah. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Epic Universe is a stupid name.
I have thought this for years. When it was announced, I literally was like, that's the working title, right?
Yes, and it was like literally, I think that's what happened. Like my point of view is when Universal was designing the Velocicoaster, this is Universal's biggest, newest theme park. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Epic Universe is, it is the brand new theme park. It's going to have Super Nintendo World. It's going to have Dark Universe, which is like the Universal Monsters Land. It's going to have How to Train Your Dragon Land. It's going to be an amazing park. Don't get me wrong. Like, we are so excited, and I don't want anyone to think that we're not. It's going to be an amazing park, and we're so excited to boots on the ground check it out. But we've always thought it was a stupid name for the park. And when they started talking about, like, this is going to be a big Epic Universe park, like, that sounded like something you would tell the media, right? Because you have different portals and different universes, and it all made logical sense. We're just going to call it that. It's a hub of universes. But then when they started actually publishing,
branding,
the logo really doesn't look that good to me. Like, it looks. All right, I have a quote from Invincible, because we've been watching season 2, and I just came immediately to mind. It feels willfully childish to call this Epic Universe. Epic as it may be, and universal as it may be, it doesn't fit the overall brand of the Universal Parks worldwide.
The pro for it is that everyone kind of just refers to it as Epic. And I suppose that's
But then,
okay,
then you have the problem of, like, in talking with people who don't know the theme parks as well. You're like, oh, we're gonna go hit Epic. An Epic what? And then you have to go Epic Universe.
I feel like the name Portal should have been in it somewhere, because their whole branding is around you're going through these portals into the different universes.
Let's see what the peanut gallery has to say.
Yep.
Universe. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's where it came from, is the Universal universe. I think I think where I have a problem, right, is that most of the Universal parks worldwide are simply known as Universal Studios. In Florida, where we have the hub of now 3 different parks, 4 different parks if you count Volcano Bay, one is known as Universal Studios, the other 3 have their own naming convention. And Islands of Adventure sounds really cool. It has some kind of like hub consistency with the rest of
and they named it after like the whole.
There's different islands and there's a
they're different
lagoon
things.
around it. Yeah, or there are
I'm
islands
not
around
saying
the
it should
lagoon.
have been like Portals of Adventure, because we also made the point that the word adventure is overused in theme parks in general
Yes,
now.
I think that is another thing that I wanted to pick out about just like naming conventions as a whole.
Like
and Disney
keeps
is the
renaming
number
things
one
adventure.
violator.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Worlds of Adventure is
Worlds
going to
of
be the new
Adventure.
name for the Walt Disney Studios
Can
park
we
in
think
Paris.
of another word?
I think, don't get me wrong, adventure is a big part of our brand.
Yep.
So I have no problem with adventure as a whole. What I have a problem with is the overuse of a nomenclature.
Yeah.
Like it's just excessive. And I think going back to Epic Universe, like it's not that the name doesn't make sense, it's that it doesn't feel very thought out. For as big and as grand as this park is.
I don't think it's encapsulating what this park is. Also, like,
it's true that I don't have a strong alternative. Like I thought about it and I'm like, I can't, because now my mind only goes, it's Epic Universe, and I can't think of a better one.
But they created like the hub is all like space themed, and the big hotel is gonna be like space themed, and I'm like, I don't know, was there something they could have drawn on from that? I don't know.
Celestial Travels, maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, Celestial Park is honestly, Celestial Park could have just been it.
Better.
Celestial Park could have literally just been it. And it would have had like, okay, you go into Celestial Park and then you hop portals, and I don't know. Epic Universe just has never sounded good.
Yep.
And I hate saying it. Like I hate me talking about it and me saying Epic Universe is going to be so great, because it sounds like I'm a preteen talking about like some really cool thing. Not that there's anything wrong with preteens. Sorry, I didn't mean to pick on anyone, but like just like I feel like for as big and as grand and as powerful as this park is going to be in the landscape of theme parks worldwide, I just feel like we could have done so much better than this.
And I think part of the reason it also kind of was like kind of meh for me too is I feel like, at least in like the English language, words like amazing and epic are used so much that I feel like they've kind of lost their meaning. And I'm at fault with that too. I described something as amazing and I'm like, was it really amazing though? Was it that like, was that taco I just ate amazing?
I am definitely guilty of hyperbole.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Epic Universe as a brand. The other thing is I really don't feel like the logo looks. I should have included a picture of the logo, but I feel like most people on this chat will know what it looks like. It honestly, it feels like oversimplified. And I feel like by contrast, Islands of Adventure feels too complicated. It just honestly, in the lineup of Universal
also changed
parks,
like the Islands of Adventure.
I know, and it's still it
recently.
Looked better before, in my opinion. But
did.
like across the whole spectrum of Universal parks, specifically in Florida, it just feels like the redheaded stepchild in terms of naming. In terms of the actual theme park experience, it's going to be great.
It's going to be fantastic.
Fantastic.
I was trying to say fun and fantastic. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Fun stick.
No, I'm going to stop there.
Fan 4 stick. Yeah, no, we don't talk about the 2015 Fantastic Four. But if you want to talk about the 2025 Fantastic Four, I have a lot to say about that one. Anywho's it's next one.
Yeah, although I don't know if you brought up Jared's comment.
Which one?
Was funny. That one.
The Everything Should Be Dark Universe.
Everything Should Be Dark Universe.
There's obviously the news has dropped recently that Halloween Horror Nights is opening like a full scale year-round haunted house in Las Vegas, and I think that is a perfect location to do Dark Universe year-round. I feel like Dark Universe as a concept is in beta testing worldwide as a result of these installations. Yeah. So Dark Universe being in the theme park, I feel like we lucked out just getting that. I don't feel like we should be asking for more. But I also feel like a lot of people are going to race to Dark Universe on day 1, minute 1, and it's not going to be as impressive before dark. And that's going to be their own fault for not thinking it through.
Yeah.
So, anywho's it's. This is actually a perfect transition.
It is.
Do you want to do the next one? Do you know what it is?
Oh, yeah, I do know that. I have my outline here, so
Okay.
I do know.
Wait, hold on. Universal Monsters is why Universal is here. Give them their own park.
He's not wrong.
He's not
Universal
wrong.
Monsters did kind of make a name for
Not
Universal
wrong.
Studios.
But also, are you ready?
Oh yeah. This is our hot take that Halloween Horror Nights is not scary.
And I don't feel like it's a hot take in the haunt community
Probably
by any
not.
stretch of the imagination, but I feel like it's a big hot take among theme park fans.
Yeah.
Just broad.
Whose whole Halloween spooky season, I know,
is
I
built
think Jared hates
around
that term.
Halloween Horror
Built
Nights.
around Halloween Horror Nights. I don't think it's not scary. The houses are immersive, usually well built, can be very well themed.
Don't
it
let
doesn't mean
not
it's
scary.
bad.
Yeah, don't let not scary mean bad to you. That's not how we mean it.
But it's not. Like
it's,
the people who are like so like think it's the be all and end all of a horror event. I'm like
it's I find it very difficult to get this is a good comment from Jared. Halloween Horror Night is pretty.
It's pretty. It is.
Universal's
and
Halloween
fun.
Horror Nights event, and I think this is going to be true for the Vegas installation too. That's going to be year round. I know a lot of people are like trying to be there on day one. A lot of Universal people in particular who live in the Orlando area. I saw a lot of stories of people like, I just booked my flight to Vegas, and I think that's great. I do. I think it's great that having Universal properties outside of Florida and California are drawing people to new locations. And I think that Universal is some of the best in the world at what they do in terms of world building and story.
As far as like
and immersion.
a scary or horror themed attraction, we're huge fans of all year round scares.
Mhm.
So that's a great thing. Like something that's outside of the typical like Halloween season, which is growing. It's most of the spooky events start happening in August and whatnot. But
yeah, well, in Florida, but not
yes.
always up here.
No. Yeah, so I'm just saying like the season itself is growing, but a lot of the like big time, HHN, Mickey's Not So Scary, all that stuff. They start happening, or they're happening. It seems like earlier and earlier, but we still don't have in those big theme parks something like an all year round kind of
correct
scary experience. I guess Dark Universe would be the.
I feel like the audience for haunts and haunted attractions really boomed just before the pandemic, and during the pandemic everyone started looking at old videos from like the haunt industry as a niche, and haunt reviewers and vloggers like Halloween Haunts 365 and fam. I feel like some traction was definitely gained during the pandemic and made people more aware of these haunted attractions that were a little bit closer to home. Halloween Horror Nights and Not Scary Farm, those were the two OGs that started this for like the theme park haunts. And I'll say again, Universal are the best at what they do in terms of building up immersive worlds within sound stages for haunted house walkthroughs. But here's the thing, and this is why I left Ari's comment up, still haven't been to HHN, but really want to try it. A lot of people have pitched Halloween Horror Nights as this terrifying, huge event. It is big, it is loud, it is stylistically and thematically impressive, but it really is not that scary. And the reason why it's not that scary is because it's big, it's loud, and it's stylistically and thematically impressive. So like,
it doesn't matter if like, the lipstick demon from Insidious is standing there. If you hear the sound loop and you've already seen exactly what he's going to do when you come around the corner, he's not going to scare you.
You can literally watch the same. Not everyone is permitted to film at Universal for this exact reason, and also for, people not using cameras respectfully or responsibly, ruining the experience for everyone else.
Yeah.
But a lot of media people will come in on the first weekend of Halloween Horror Nights and post walkthroughs. And I'm telling you that once you've seen that walkthrough, there is going to be absolutely nothing different about your experience going through that house as compared to whoever did the walkthrough, because it's all on a set loop. You know exactly what to expect around every corner, every turn. It's really cool to see with your eyes. And I think that people should go. I'm not telling you not to. But it is sequential and systematic. It is not unpredictable in any way, shape, or form. And it's really more of a like, oh, look how cool it is that they brought this to life, than it is a, oh my God, I'm so scared, they're after me, which is what a traditional haunt experience would be.
Like the things that have scared me and gotten me excited in like the independent haunts we've been to are people following me down the hallway when I didn't realize it.
Or talking back to you.
Or you know, doing something kind of unpredictable, and when you've, you know, it can be predictable. But still, like that being said, we're not saying don't go. Like we like to go. We plan to go back. But we don't go there. We don't really go there. We go there for like the Halloween party kind of vibes, not so much the we're gonna get so scared tonight.
Fright Fest, since you guys mentioned it, is another repeat offender in this category. Except for that, as Jared and Derry can tell you, their pricing model is arguably much worse than Universal Halloween Horror Nights.
I would argue that Halloween Horror Nights puts on a much better event than what Fright Fest was, especially this year.
This past year's event, it was the first time they tried doing IP, and the parks most local to us kind of whiffed it. But I did watch some walkthroughs later on, and it seemed like once they found their footing, they did throw up a really great house here and there. Things like The Conjuring with Annabelle walking. It looked like a good house. The problem is the execution was not the best. They didn't pull it together in time. No. They charged way too much, and they're trying to obviously try to make their money back on those IPs and keep up with Halloween Horror Nights. But the thing of it is, guys, like Halloween Horror Nights is cool for what it is, but it's really not a traditional haunted attraction experience. And we as haunt lovers are, I think, much more in tune with what is truly scary for us versus what is just cool to look at. And so Halloween Horror Nights scratches a different itch.
Yeah. And I do think that, honestly, for people who might be too scared of like an independent haunt experience, might actually find that Halloween Horror Nights is kind of 100%. A good intro.
100%. Halloween Horror Nights is like the hocus pocus to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Like it is fun, it is spooky, but it is not scary.
There's enough like the scare zones and the shows and the other entertainment, the food offerings that are offered. I do think that like knowing you as well as we can through this internet thing, Jamie and Ari, I do feel like you guys would have fun together there. It might just mean that you choose a few houses to go through that are less intense, because there's always houses that are considered more intense and less intense. But they are beautiful. I think Jared was one who mentioned they're very pretty. The production value is high, and if you've got like the Ghostbusters house, I'm wearing the hat from the Ghostbusters. I'm wearing Halloween Horror Nights right now. I'm not saying don't go. It can be fun.
And we had a blast at Hollywood's event, which I posit is better than Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, but for different reasons, and not everyone will agree with that. That's wholly my take.
Yeah.
I did want to let y'all know the video I was talking about was from Attractions 360, so I guarantee you they put their best foot forward for the official walkthroughs from the big league attraction walkthrough people. But I thought it looked good. I wasn't there. I cannot confirm or deny how it actually played out.
This was an Annabelle house?
It was the Conjuring house and the Conjuring universe as a whole. So it was Annabelle.
I did not watch this walkthrough. I cannot speak to its content.
I'll show it to you later. It's not bad.
Okay.
I did want to pull up some of these other comments on Field and the other attractions that we've been to. I agree with this. Field of Screams, where we regularly go, we're very familiar with the layouts. We're very familiar with most of the actors there. A lot of them know us by name, so we get picked on a lot. But they do have the flexibility to change their performance. And every year, like this year, we just posted a vlog from Field of Scream's Valentine's Day event. They gutted a whole room, and they're changing the entire layout of that room. So although they have the same attractions year over year, they do change things up to make it, more of a novel experience for people to come back to. Halloween Horror Nights, different houses every year. You only get them for that one season, so everyone feels like they have FOMO if they didn't go. But the experiences are not as genuine. At least at Field, they talk back to you. Particularly at Field, they can touch you, so that introduces a whole extra layer of like deep, unsettling natures. But Halloween Horror Nights, I just feel like it doesn't resonate with people who have been through like actual genuine haunted houses.
But it is fun. I had I've had fun.
Yeah.
Every time we went.
I have it down that it's more of a rock concert than a haunt. And I think I stand by that.
Yeah.
That's the vibe, is you're going to like a hard heavy metal punk pop rock concert, and that's how you'll feel going and coming. Yeah. But to go to an actual haunted attraction, I think, is a whole different thing. And I think we've just been through enough haunted attractions at this point that Halloween Horror Nights isn't scary anymore.
It isn't.
Let's see.
Next one. Oh, this one might.
Hold on, I'm just looking through all the comments.
I
People are making good points.
Yeah. We like the discussion. Keep it going.
I like this. If you're in the area for Halloween Horror Nights, go. Don't make a trip unless you love the lineup.
Yeah.
We went to our first Halloween Horror Nights in 2021 because we had to experience the haunting of Hill House, and do not regret it one bit. It was really cool to see. Wasn't scary, but it was super fun to see.
Yeah. I was like almost in tears because I was just happy to see.
We love that show.
Yeah, I was just happy to see the show.
Seen it dozens of times all the way through.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do this one, or you want me to do this one?
Technically, I introduced HHN. It's not scary.
All right. So get your torches and pitchforks out.
Here we go. We're gonna make some enemies.
Ooh, I hate having to be the one to deliver this blow. Timandkt, which, timing not optimal. It is set to implode somewhere between today and later this week. So here's the thing. We've ridden Timandkt. I feel for a lot of the folks that will never get a chance to, because it is currently, until it is imploded and destroyed, it is currently the world's largest freestanding roller coaster.
Well, tallest, I think, is what I described it as.
That's true. Tallest, not largest. I understand why people are going to miss this attraction. It just recently was closed down without much fanfare. I think that Six Flags did kind of a poor job of
blew that
marketing. And the funny thing is, like, they had time to change their minds about it and try to do like a, hey, everyone come out. But
I don't agree with the way it went. The things went down.
Yeah.
I feel like people should have gotten the opportunity to make that trip, to do it, to give it one last ride. Yeah. We wouldn't have done it because we said goodbye a while ago. But
we have done Timandkt, I think, 3 times total, and the gaps between each ride, and 3 times, don't get me wrong, like that's a small number relative to some of how the coaster enthusiasts have gone after it, but between those 3 rides, we did one in 2017, earlier than that, 2013.
Yeah,
probably 2013, then one in 2017, and then one in 2020.
Yep.
When we went back during the pandemic, or 2021, I can't remember which one. Between those rides, the first one felt like a wow, I can't believe we just did that. Like, you got all the feels.
I got so nervous.
The anticipation is the main draw of the attraction, right? Because you're in line forever. You finally get on the attraction. You're watching it go. There's signage in the queue, or there was, saying occasionally the ride may not gain enough momentum to clear the hump and will roll back into the station. So there's also that existential dread of like, oh my goodness,
get rolled back?
What if we roll back? Which some coaster enthusiasts are all
really
about.
wanted.
But it just, between each ride, it was noticeably rougher and rougher and rougher. And the reason is because logically, the logistics of maintaining a ride that large are just astronomical. It was a money pit. Like, it was hugely expensive to maintain. And all it was at the end of the day was a novelty credit. Because my gripe with Timandkt was and has always been, it's fun to do the one time. After that, you're only riding it if you really, really love the intensity of the launch, which some people do, and I don't begrudge them for that. But it always felt more like a novelty to me than like a genuine attraction. And it was over in, I looked this up, 59 seconds maximum ride time if you don't roll back.
Yeah, if you don't roll back.
If you don't roll back, and if you roll back, you have
a minute.
That's an Easter egg, basically. I think they actually had to like recalibrate and like leave you in the station for a second to allow your body to adjust before they could shoot you off again. It was a powerful, cool launch. It was a really cool thing. But I'm not going to miss it, personally. No. I feel like whatever comes to replace it is going to be...
I'm sad that we're losing such a record breaker so close to us and on this side of the world in this country. That's sad, but like the ride itself I'm not gonna miss. And my last ride on it, I was like, I think this is my last ride on this coaster, and I happened to be right,
but not because you chose to be.
Yeah, I guess not because I chose to be, but I mean, there have been times, I think like the last time we went, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna ride this again. I don't think it's worth it.
There's not a ton of coasters of this type left in the world because it's so logistically impossible to maintain. Even look at Cedar Point, which again, we've never been to Cedar Point, so we can't say definitively, but Top Thrill Dragster, as it was originally called, and now Top Thrill 2, which, to speak of other piss poor naming conventions, it was honestly, Top Thrill 2 worked for what, like a week, maybe two, before it went down again, and then it reopened for another week, and then it went down again, and it hasn't opened since. It's just so difficult to maintain a coaster of this scale. I genuinely think that like whoever gets on that new Falcons flight in Six Flags Qiddiya, when that's finally up and operating, if you don't get on it in the first month, there's a good chance you're never getting on it because how difficult must it be to maintain an even larger coaster than King Ka, especially in the desert where it's up against the elements 100% of the time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a dumb name.
That's what I'm saying. We got hot takes within hot takes.
Yep.
I liked the theming on King Ka. I liked the queue on King Ka. I liked the initial advertising push for King Ka way back when.
I think the name King Ka is pretty cool.
I thought the King Ka is a much better name than Epic Universe, to be quite honest.
Theming, I think it captured the kind of like, mythos and energy around it and whatnot. I think it was a good name. I'm glad we did it.
I am glad we did it.
I'm glad we did it.
I'm glad we did it 3 times.
Yep.
I'm glad I have some a reference point for what the attraction eventually became.
I will say the launch 'em, do one top hat and done kind of coasters are never going to be my favorite.
No, I agree.
They're never going to be my favorite.
Anything that goes straight up and straight down is also not going to be my favorite.
It's just not.
This is a perfect segue to what I'm going to relegate to you because you have a lot to say on this.
Yes, I do.
Ba-da-doom.
I feel like I need to do the clap thing. Comfort over intensity.
And I put a picture of the former Intimidator 305 because that's your favorite ride ever.
Oh God, I would so much rather.
Oh, I like this. King the freaking cow.
Yeah. Agree with that. So for me, as a theme park enthusiast first and a coaster enthusiast second, would rather have a ride that is fun but comfortable than so intense that I feel ill, uncomfortable, or physical pain at any point during the ride.
Would you like to give examples?
Rides that have made me uncomfortable or caused me physical pain include Intimidator 305, not Fury 325, by the way. So it's not just megas in general.
I find the airtime on Fury to be more intimidating than the average person just because you're up so dang high. Like it just feels like floating is death-defying.
Other rides that had made me feel slightly uncomfortable.
OG Sky Rush.
OG Sky Rush definitely. Tron in Walt Disney World.
I disagree with that one. I love Tron.
But that for me, I've ridden it. It's
the reason that one's uncomfortable is not because it's intense though. It's because
but it is uncomfortable for it fits the definition.
Yes, I suppose.
I think, what is it? Mind Eraser, that SLC at Six Flags.
It's not that anymore.
It's called something different now.
It's been changed. I can't remember what the new. It's like a steampunk land now at Six Flags America. But it's the same coaster. It's just been an old retrofitted.
Vekoma SLC.
Just put any Vekoma SLC in this category, to be honest. The old school ones, not the modern ones.
Nighthawk at Carowinds. Is that
Thank
count?
God that one is dead.
Yeah.
That was the single. Steam and Demon at Six Flags Great Escape.
Yep.
Nighthawk still though, to this day, and again, not because of intensity, but just because it was an old, rickety, horrible death trap of a ride. It was genuinely the worst roller coaster experience I have ever had. And it was consistently bad because everyone got off it being like, oh.
No. I don't want to leave a coaster feeling ill, feeling like I got a headache, feeling like I need to take
Rip Ride Rocket.
ibuprofen. Oh gosh, Rip Ride Rocket, definitely.
You said ibuprofen and I immediately thought of Rip Ride Rocket.
I don't need to feel the G-force of the space station training to enjoy a ride. And that is completely my personal opinion. But I would rather have a comfortable seat, a comfortable harness. And I've enjoyed more intense rides that still meet this criteria. Like we brought up Iron Gwazi earlier.
Ooh,
that ride.
I don't like that.
No. See, never
I
again.
do remember getting off of Intimidator. We've only done Intimidator 305, which is now, I don't even remember what the new name is, but we got off it and we did feel dehydrated. So that is, I think, a consistent experience. I don't know why, because I feel like maybe it's just like I don't remember
particularly feeling dehydrated. I just remember.
Oh my gosh, old Wildcat.
Oh yeah,
pre-Revenge. It was awful.
But that's what I was saying. Like I feel like
Roar actually, I feel like was pretty good.
I feel like RMCs are good match for the most part. The ones we've been on of intensity, but still comfort. Like I can settle into
Green
that
Lantern,
Wildcat.
Six Flags Great Adventure.
No, thank you.
That's the one that made Katie hate stand-ups.
Yeah,
but she's changed her tune after
the surf
Pipeline.
Pipeline, the surf coaster, can still be intense, but comfortable.
That's an exact.
Like, why can't we just have comfortable seats?
That's the exact. So B&M pretty much reliably comfortable coasters. Not 100% across the board, but for the most part,
I don't find
we hear B&M and we're like,
I don't
okay,
find
B&M
floorless to be as comfortable.
That's true.
Usually.
That's kind of the exception to the rule. But floorless, their design is changing a little bit, so it's getting less rickety.
Honestly, the less that's around my shoulders, the better.
Yeah. Pipeline has shoulder harnesses, but
yeah,
in general,
I think you're like. Picture like
Kraken is a B&M floorless.
Like the harness on Phoenix in Toverland.
Oh no, middle of summer with no shading.
Yeah.
That's a hot take we didn't mention is that
actually we kind of touch on this hot take in a little bit, the no shade
we do
thing. I feel like it's kind of
I guess yeah, we could potentially talk about that the next one. I could see where
do you know where you know what I'm talking about, the harness on Phoenix where it's like kind of like that soft vest that comes down and then you have the like
in
that
Toverland?
yeah
that's
like, and I think it's at Wild Eagle and Dollywood too. I think they have the similar
manufacturer
harness, like comfort.
I think
Griffin.
Nobody correct me. I can't take it.
At Busch Gardens, I'm comfortable. Very comfortable there. And I realize that this can be different based on, your height, your weight, your body type in general. Like something that's very comfortable for me, you might be like, nope, hate that ride. Mm-hmm. And that's fine too. But I just was saying, I'd rather be comfortable and enjoy either a fun, like, Hagrid's less intense kind of ride than be like so strapped in and like tossed around and then get off the ride like, bleh.
There are attractions that can be both intense and comfortable.
Exactly.
And I think that, for example, why am I blanking on this? At Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Griffin.
I just said Griffin.
You did?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening.
No, you weren't.
But yeah, Griffin, Alpengeist, Busch Gardens does this pretty well, where they have attractions that are both intense and comfortable, and some of it is make and model, and others of it is just like the way that the ride is designed to fit into an environment. Yeah. But I also think that comfort is more typical with regard to when they're making it fit a theme.
True.
Like we have found just visiting, the title of the live stream is Hot Takes on Theme Parks. A lot of what we've been talking about is amusement parks too, and there's a big difference between the two. The amusement parks are typically more geared towards intense thrill rides, and
they need the record breakers to draw people.
Pretty much every amusement park is trying to be a destination, whereas theme parks typically just become destinations on their own merits because they're fun to visit. we are theme park enthusiasts first and coaster enthusiasts second. So when we go to an amusement park, often what we'll have is a lineup of coasters that we try to clear very quickly to get all of the credits, because we do count them. But we'll immediately be like, we'll never do that again. We'll never do that again. We'll never do that again. Versus some rides that are smoother, like Fury 325, we did twice. It was the only ride at Carowinds that I think, oh no, we did Copperhead twice as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Copperhead has a lot of hang time, which I personally don't enjoy, but I really like Copperhead because the restraints were comfortable. And it was a fun, well-themed attraction.
Yep.
So I feel like there has been a push, particularly in the United States, but that's mostly just because, you know, global parks don't have as much trouble with this at the outset. There's been a push to make the intense rides more uncomfortable. And that in and of itself is controversial, because when Skyrush at Hershey Park got new harnesses and seats to make the attraction more comfortable, because the criticism was, it's really not, it's very intense, and you come out with crushed thighs, hence thighs crushed, thigh crush. I read a comment on Reddit that was like, man, I'm really gonna miss feeling like I was being broken in half down that first curve. And I'm like, see, that's exactly why I don't want to do it. That's why I do enjoy Skyrush more now, is because I don't feel like I'm being broken in half. And I feel like there's a certain type of person that enjoys that, but they might not be reflective of the majority that wants to experience the attraction.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense, we fall into the majority, and maybe the take isn't so hot.
Maybe it isn't.
But it's hot in the coaster community, I'll tell you that. Lost Island is such a unique one that's super dedicated to the theme from the start. I agree.
We want to go there. We loved your vlog.
We really want to. If you guys have not seen Keeping Up in Disney's vlog from Lost Island, please check it out. Not just because we want to support them, but also because Lost Island is not getting enough attention for what it is.
It's such a cool, like, they have theme, and it's original. Like, you're not gonna see Mickey Mouse or whatever.
Coaster Mom enjoyed being broken in half.
But yeah, I would, from what we've seen, we haven't been to Lost Island. We definitely want to go there. They do follow the, like, we're dedicated to theming. We have our own characters, and it looked like the rides that we could see did have a lot of theming, which was so cool.
And they are, per the vlog that Keeping Up in Disney put out, they're working on adding a new roller coaster attraction.
Yeah.
And that will be, I think, their first major expansion since the park opened its gates. So hopefully that's a sign of good things to come, that they're going to continue building, and eventually that will become more of a destination park. The trouble is, it's in the middle of freaking nowhere, and it's nowhere near an airport. So you really have to, like, build it into.
Really
if you don't live locally enough to make the drive a day trip, you really have to want to go there to make it happen.
Yeah.
So hopefully that becoming more of a destination park will draw more people in, and hopefully draw more infrastructure to be placed.
Exactly.
I do hate vertical lift coasters. I have not felt the drive. Oh, Gage, thank you. We appreciate you.
That's so sweet.
I have not felt the drive to get on Fahrenheit at Hershey Park in
years.
Yeah, I literally have not been on it in years. I will go on it if I am with someone who wants to go on. I just hate the vertical lift so much. And honestly, the same for what's it called at Knoebels? Impulse.
Impulse, yeah.
Really cool looking coaster, just the vertical lift takes all the fun out of it.
And I don't find Impulse to be that uncomfortable, if I remember. It's just been a while since we've been on it, since you don't really like to go, and I'm usually not going to go by myself. Note on Knoebels, I hope it, what?
Oh, were you responding to this comment, or
no,
are you just talking
I'm
about
just thinking about Knoebels, like, note on Knoebels. Other hot take, Phoenix needs seatbelts. We'll just drop that one. We'll just drop that one and leave.
Oh, drop it and run away.
Drop it and run away.
I do not entirely disagree, but I think that one would get us burned at the stakes.
Probably.
We are hoping to be out for St. Paddy's Day at Field. As of now, it is the plan. The plan may change based on a couple of variables, but I am also hoping to be there. I think Allison is talking about the Big Bad Wolf at Busch Gardens. Although it's not a 100% complete thought, so feel free to correct me if I'm misreading it. I I think that's going to be probably in line with every other coaster at Busch Gardens in terms of intensity and comfort. And
Yeah.
because it's a family
it's
coaster.
Being described, as a family coaster.
I would hope it's comfortable.
Yeah. I will say that I'm
gonna ride it regardless.
I've been on some like true like kiddie coasters that were not comfortable.
Yeah.
Don't get like when they're like just like that bench seat and you pull the lap bar down, you're like, I know I'm gonna get tossed against the seat and it's gonna hurt. But yeah.
They're gonna burn down our whole channel over this. Phoenix is sacred.
I don't think it should get the Comet treatment.
I don't think Comet should have gotten the Comet treatment. Will do.
Awesome.
All right. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is your
This is a pretty I
think this is going in line with where the conversation's going.
It kind of is. It kind of is. Planters over pavement. This needs to be explained because I didn't word it very well. But this was the most succinct way of saying it. Here, pictured, is Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. Sorry, I almost said Carowinds 325 for some stupid reason. Carowinds is the home of many record-breaking coasters, and it's not a bad park. We had a lot of fun there. The thing is, and nobody come for me on this, we would never have gone if we didn't have another reason to be in the area.
Yep.
So the reason being, Carowinds, like many Cedar Fair parks and Six Flags parks, as well as many other parks just nationwide, at least in the United States. I know there's a little bit of this in the UK. I haven't seen too much of it in mainland Europe or other areas, but I do know that here in the United States, we have a huge dividing line between the amusement park setup and the theme park setup. And the difference for me, more often than not, is that the theme parks will actually build worlds that you can walk into, look around, and feel fully immersed. Even SeaWorld Orlando can do this with their Arctic Land and their interactive animal exhibits. Disney and Universal, of course, are the best at it. But Busch Gardens does a really good job, too. Versus what you're seeing here, the whole park looks like this. It's rides on concrete. And that's what I mean by planters over pavement, is that I infinitely prefer a park with fun attractions, whether they're thrilling and intense or not, over a big lineup of awesome record-breaking
coasters
slapped onto concrete.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lot of fun at Dorney Park, right? We went to Dorney Park this past year with our friends Chad and Vanessa. It was the first time back since 2020, and we rode Iron Menace, which was great. They're doing a pretty good job of starting to add some theming, and the landscaping is pretty good. It's built into a hill. It's got some trees and whatnot. But then you go to like Carowinds, or even, dare I say, King's Dominion, which has some pretty theming, but it has a whole lot of pavement too. Yeah. And I just feel like places like Carowinds, Cedar Point, whatnot, are lower on our ultimate destination list than places like overseas theme parks. Lost Island. Lost Island does have a lot of pavement too, to be fair.
Yeah.
But that's because it's in the middle of Waterloo.
Well, also, I think it looks like sometimes you plant the trees and the trees
it takes years
are not going to grow.
Yeah.
Like you can't always like implant a 20-year-old tree.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, 100%.
So, but yeah, no, not enough shade. I say natural because a lot of things are planted. It's not like everything we know that they cultivated Animal Kingdom in Florida. Not a lot of those plants are native to Florida. So obviously it was cultivated.
And it opened looking beautiful and green, which is a hard thing to do.
Right.
But there's a dedicated effort. Like even, and I hate to pick on Busch Gardens because I really do think that Busch Gardens Williamsburg does all of this very well. But as an example, the rock work that could have been on Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg versus what we actually got. When you walk across that bridge and you enter like the Pantheon ride area, all it is a ride on supports in the middle of a field.
Yeah. At least there's grass.
There is grass, but grass grows everywhere. So if you don't pave over it, you automatically have grass for the most part.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done so, and they were limited. Granted, they were limited by the pandemic. They started building before the pandemic shut everything down. They were limited in what they could do, and their budget was probably cut halfway through. But just speaking in broad terms, like, it's more appealing to go and look at what they've done in Busch Gardens Tampa with, just as an example, what's the dive coaster there that I'm always forgetting?
Oh, SheiKra.
SheiKra dives through some rock work and comes out of the fog, and it splashes down, and it's surrounded by trees, and it's beautiful. Like,
I mean, Cheetah Hunt's pretty well themed.
Cheetah Hunt is
there,
also
too.
pretty well themed, and it actually goes through the cheetah enclosure, which makes it the most themed theme park ride I think we've ever been on, quite frankly. My point, I just feel like pavement parks are not as appealing to me. Lack of shade is a big thing. I know that Tim pointed that out too, but also just like, as theme park lovers first and coaster enthusiasts second, I feel like pavement parks are not as big of a draw for us personally. And when we go to a new park that doesn't have any trees or any rock work or any water features, no landscaping, I feel like we're in and out in 6 hours and we don't feel any compulsion to go back.
Yeah. And there's no, like, sometimes we just like to walk through and take it in. Like, I mean, when we were in, Efteling for 3 days, like, we just
Efteling can do no wrong. So
taking it slow. We wanted to look at the views and watch the pond full of geese. There were things that we wanted to take the time and look at, and I feel like that's captured better in, like, of course, like Disney and Universal. Even Williamsburg, which we actually had a conversation about this. Busch Gardens Williamsburg touts being one of the world's most beautiful theme parks. And
is it the world or is it the country?
And maybe
I feel
it's
like
country,
we never clarified this.
It does have, like, it's gotten the title most beautiful theme park, and I think part of the reason why that it continues to win that is because they have left so much of the natural beauty there. Like, there's legitimate woods in Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and we've seen, like, actual deer hang out there because they've kept enough of the natural forest and whatnot that animals can still habitate.
Snap. It was voted the world's most beautiful theme park. I don't know if it deserves that title, but it is really, really pretty.
Yeah.
Nationally, I think comparing it to Animal Kingdom or Universal Islands of Adventure, the latter easily pulls it out. But regionally, Busch Gardens is one of the most beautiful theme parks, and that's why we go back so often. Why we have those platinum passes is because despite it being 4.5 hours away, like, we genuinely enjoy the vibes there.
Yeah.
We enjoy not just getting on the rides, but sometimes we just go to walk around, look at the animals, and have some, like, food and wine kiosks are fun to visit. Like, I don't know if I'd go to Six Flags for the vibes or even Cedar Point for the vibes. I would go for the attractions and call it a day. Busch Gardens, Disney, Universal, parks like it, just feel like there's more to see and do.
Yeah.
And that's largely because of
the effort that was put in to making them feel like an escape.
I do want to respond to some of these comments that we've been leaving hanging.
Oh, Ari.
These are not hot takes, in my opinion, because I think most everyone is pretty upset.
I think
hold on.
What was it? Planters over pavement kind of sums up that pretty well.
Yes, but let me sum it up in this one thing. I would be so much less upset about it if Cars was going into Hollywood Studios.
Right.
Because that's where it belongs next to all the other Pixar attractions. Thematically, it breaks the entire illusion of the Wild West to put anthropomorphic vehicles down in the center of it.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's going to be prettier than straight up pavement over top of Rivers of America. So I can't pitch too much of a fit about that. But I also feel like we shouldn't have to tear down something old to build something new. I feel like there should be some degree of coexisting. So I am not thrilled about it.
No.
I also feel like we don't need cars in Florida because it's an incentive to visit California. And I understand not everyone can do that too.
Yep,
I get it. It's expensive. It is expensive. Oh man, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But it is well
I
worth
don't
it.
see why they had that whole like cars show thing that they were going to get rid of anyway. Why couldn't they build a cars attraction there?
I have a theory about that because the villain show that's coming there, I feel like it's so easy to gut that theater and reshape it as something different.
Yes.
I feel like...
But how much money is it to fill in a river?
Listen to me speak, and you will know what I'm going to say. I think that they're using that new villain show as a beta test for whether or not and how much they should be theming their own little villains land. Because if it gets huge crowds, everyone comes out to see the villains performing, then they'll be like, okay, there's enough of a villain's audience. We really need to put this at the forefront of our new
Hasn't this been tested at
experience.
Oogie Boogie Bash every single year?
Kind of, but there's a different audience in California. It's more of a locals park. This is part of the destination experience.
You don't need to tell me those things.
Oh no?
No.
No? Another hot take. Iron Menace was a flop. I feel like this is dependent wholly on which row you ride.
Yeah. I think
back row
I think theming
was not great. Front row was pretty good.
I think theming it was a step in the right direction for Dorney. I don't know if the ride execution was perfect. I will say that. Drop that.
We gotta respond to comments faster. We're starting conversations that we're not keeping up with.
Is this the most recent one? Oh,
yeah. This is in response to the theory. Yeah, the villain testing ground.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I'm going through these comments in reverse order. I'm sorry, but I think they all stand on their own. Gage asked what our thoughts were on Epic Universe. Little did he know that was the very first thing.
That was our very first.
To sum it up, super excited about the parks. The hot take was the name is stupid.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. I will go to war over this. I will die on that hill. Epic Universe is a dumb name for that park. For as big as that park and as cool as that park is going to be, it just feels, as I say, willfully childish to name it Epic Universe. Feels like you're... Honestly, you know what it is? I described it earlier as like, I'm just like a preteen. It's actually closer to like 8 years old. Like, I feel like I'm an 8-year-old talking about my super secret base, which is like a tree fort that's been sloppily thrown together. That's when I'm like, come on into Epic Universe! No girls allowed! That's what I feel like when I say Epic Universe out loud.
And before any of you comfort him, he definitely sounded like that as a child.
Yes.
So don't worry.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
There you go. 100% on board.
Loch Ness Monster Cup. Now, Loch Ness Monster could be a hot take unto itself because I like the attraction. I think it's very well themed. Would do it again even, but it is a bit of a chiropractic adjustment even after
that refurb. I was like, oh man, I really wanted this to be so much.
This is a hot take from Tim. Got more joy on Possessed
than Iron Menace.
He also said he was in front row for Iron Menace.
I hate Possessed. That's the thought.
That's the take.
That's the take. But
that's the whole thing.
I am a 32 going on 33-year-old woman. Maybe I'm not meant to enjoy it. Maybe I should have gotten on it when I was 12.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah,
but
me too.
It is not
hate.
There's a reason that ride type is being phased out.
Hate.
I can't wait to do whatever it is, Time Warp at Canada's Wonderland, the one that everyone says is like the most uncomfortable coaster they've ever been on.
I can wait.
I got to take like preemptive Advil, but I'm going to do it.
I can wait for a long time to do that ride.
All right, you've got a hot take.
Oh yeah, this was mine.
Ready?
And as much as we love to talk positively about Busch Gardens.
This was perfect because we were just talking about Busch and all the things they do well. So let's be clear that this is one of the very few drawbacks.
Yeah. So for context, if you've never been to Busch Gardens.
Hold on, I've got a picture.
Oh, If you've never been to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Fest House is their biggest eatery. It also is an
All
entertainment.
roads lead to Fest House.
It's in Germany. It houses a lot of shows and stuff
the
too.
The shows are great.
The shows are great. And you can go and watch a show without getting food or anything.
You can also get pizza, so you don't have to have like the German food,
but like this is it's German. It's weirdly like German food, and we mean like bratwurst, potatoes, beet. This is like 2 different kinds of sauerkraut, I guess, or cabbage and sauerkraut. And then they also have randomly pizza, and then like a couple of other things, and like you can get a chicken
tenders.
You can get a very expensive fruit cup or something like that too. And the reason it's just, it gets old really fast. Like the first time you go to Busch Gardens, you're like, oh, cool, German food. And then it's like, it was kind of the only thing open for a long time due to the pandemic and staffing issues and whatnot. And it's where, like, if you get a VIP tour, you're probably going to have a meal there because that's where you'll get a voucher for. It gets old fast. It's not that great. And the other thing is the portion size. Like, you can't just get like a bratwurst. Like, you have to get like these huge plates that you're not gonna, like, who wants to eat that whole plate of food and then go get on Pantheon? You know, like, I don't.
Well, you don't have to. You just wind up wasting the food.
Yeah, and it's
which bothers some people more than others.
It bothers me. I feel like in this world we shouldn't have to waste that much food.
So all of Busch Gardens for the most part during non-peaks, because Tim just brought up they gorged themselves on food and wine stuff before having to go on any coasters. Which food and wine is the kiosks. That's our favorite time to go
eat at Busch Gardens
because the food from the kiosks is all really, really good.
Yeah.
The food from the other, like the year-round places, which include Fest House first and foremost, but also like Marco Polo Marketplace, which is only really incrementally better.
Yeah. Marco Polo
they're all set up as like cafeteria
Express,
style.
Right.
Like they get people through the line as quickly as possible. All the food is buffet style. It's been sitting out since the beginning of the day on. So if you don't get it when it's like piping hot and fresh, it's really not going to taste as good as you imagine it tasting when you see the promo materials. Like we have found if you don't plan to go during food and wine season, the best place to get food at Busch Gardens is in no way, shape, or form Fest House. The Trapper's Smokehouse food is decent.
Yep.
We tend to prefer that. The les frites is bikes in Dutch.
But that's French.
I
think it's les frites frites.
It's
French.
Frites?
Yeah.
Well,
the poutine place
in France where you get French fries. That is for sure the best place to get food in Busch. And we're but it's not exactly healthy, but we almost always go
full of fries that are usually made pretty fresh because they're making them and selling them, and like many times we've gotten like the very next fresh batch, and they're pretty good.
Again, food and wine pretty much everything is good. I honestly, like, there's maybe 1 or 2 things year over year that I'm like, that's okay.
There's always booths that are not as popular, but I think Tim brought up Brazil. That one's always usually pretty good.
That's where the churrasco
We've liked Jamaica a lot.
Jamaican jerk sliders are good.
The New Orleans one is usually pretty good. So it offers a lot more variety.
The Pantheon-demic. I like that. I just call it the Great Unpleasantness more often than not, but the Pantheon-demic is a nice runner-up.
Yep.
What is everyone else saying?
I think it would be fun if like Oktoberfest was like if they specialized in the German food for that period. But that's the thing is it's like Oktoberfest all year round in Germany, and it's like it's not great.
I think one of the things that hurts about Busch Gardens as compared to other theme parks that do festivals is that Food and Wine is really the only festival where food and or wine
takes the center stage.
Is the center stage. Like every other season for the holidays, you'd expect like, oh, maybe we'll get some like, holiday roast beef or whatever. At Epcot, definitely the case. At Busch Gardens, you really just have cocoa and cookies.
Yep.
So I feel like your options are limited outside of food and wine season. But again, Trapper's Smokehouse, not bad. Lafitte's best of the available options. There's also nothing stopping you from going off campus to get food. There's a lot of really good places near Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. So it's not a deal breaker for us at all.
No.
We love going to Busch Gardens, but the Fest House food is undeniably the worst in our opinion of everything, which is it's so crazy to me that they send out polls every year to members in particular saying like, vote for us for Fest House as the best theme park food. I'm like, no. I will not.
I will not. Absolutely.
That's pretty much it. Pretty much it. I have had authentic German food, by the way, too, and it not even remotely comparable to Fest House.
I'm sure if
or rather, Fest House is not even remotely comparable.
Native Germans went to Fest House, they'd probably be like, "What is this garbage?"
They did their best.
They did,
but it wasn't. It did not meet.
I would love to see, just in general, Busch Gardens step up their food game. I mean, for how great their park is, how wonderful their attractions are, and that they're open practically like year round too. Like they're closed for weather, but they're practically open year round.
And
like,
this is undeniably our favorite regional park that we're talking about. So we're not being biased.
Like even like I don't know, like a table service almost restaurant.
Well,
would
they
be
have
kind of cool.
The Burgermeister's Hideaway. That's mostly
I think that's drinks.
It is mostly drinks, but they serve a couple of snacks.
Yeah, but you also
we've not done it, so we can't speak to that yet.
That's a speakeasy, so you're not gonna get in if you don't
know the password.
Yeah. So I think it would be cool to have a it doesn't have to be like 5-star, but just like a decent sit down place that's not Fest House.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more hot takes again. So
oh my gosh!
Pick it up.
Oh, sorry.
We vent too much.
We do vent too much. All right, you take the next one.
All right. Fast passes should be pricey. I do not mean they should cost something. I mean they should cost a lot. Example, Universal Express passes. This is an Express Unlimited as pictured by All Ears, who went and did a whole story on it. But you don't have to pay for Express Pass Unlimited. You can pay for a standard Express Pass. They are at Universal as compared to Disney. Disney charges you $15 to $25 depending on the day, time of year, and crowd level for their former Genie Plus, now Multi-Pass Lightning Lane system. That's also stupid. That whole branding is stupid. But Universal, pretty much since the inception of the program, has charged about, sometimes more than, $145 per person per day for Express Passes in one park. Yep. The reason I support that, and don't get me wrong, it's a lot. Sometimes it's out of our price range, and we're like, because we really do want to buy in, and we'd really rather have Express Passes throughout the day and get done what we want to get done and have a great time than spend the whole day waiting in lines. The reason I support
this, or all day looking at our phones trying to figure out when we can get in line. Because
you're getting into the reasons why the other ones don't work. I'll get there. But the reason I support this is because it works if it's cost prohibitive. If not everybody does it, it works better.
Yep.
I understand that being cost prohibitive by its very nature means that someone gets left out. I think that's kind of the point. And I don't say that to be elitist, because again, there have been times when we've looked at the Universal, like we tried to plan a Universal trip and we've been like, to get it all done in one day, we have to do Express, and Express is $249 that day. It's just not feasible. And it's a bummer. It is. It gives us major FOMO. Don't get me wrong. We have been on the outside of this, but I still support it. And the reason being because when we do save up and splurge on Express Passes, we know we are getting on every ride that day. We know in advance that if the attraction is open and operating, we will get on it. We will get on and off it quickly, and we will get on the next attraction just as quickly. And if the fates are kind and most rides are open, you can do the whole park in one day by splurging that way. You can't possibly do that at Disney with their current Fast Pass system. I get that it used to be free and people are irritated that it's not now.
They're never going back to being.
They're never going back to being free. So that time has come and gone.
Do that.
But I also think that Disney's whatever the golden ticket program, where it's like $400 to do every single ride, any lightning lane you want, I still feel like that price point may be a little high if you can't get back in the lines. Like if you can't just walk up on any line you want anytime. I feel like it's a little bit too pricey to hit that audience they're going for, but it is selling. Like it's working. That system works. And I feel like the higher the price is, the better the system works. The reason that it doesn't work, you were saying about Disney.
Oh, well, I was
the reason
saying,
that it
like,
doesn't work with
the reason why
system.
we have over the years, as Disney has continually evolved their fast pass system, preferred places like Universal's Express Pass, is because you bought the Express Pass for the day, like Tim said. You show up at open, that ride's open, you're getting on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you wait you get on, you can get on. You don't have to be like, is it 10 o'clock yet? Can I get on this ride? You don't have to look at your phone fiddle-faddling to try to figure out if you can if someone's dropped a pass for Pirates so that you can get on that. Like your day is planned with your budget. I budgeted for Express Pass. I'm going to get on every ride I want to. So when you're with the Disney Pass, like, yes, they did allow you to start picking some things in advance.
That was better, but
but you're still, I mean, whoever it is, mom, dad, Uncle Joe, your 16-year-old who knows how to use their phone better, they're on their phone trying to optimize your day. And I feel like that takes away from your day.
I feel like the ability to just flexibly walk up on any queue that has a lightning lane program affixed to it, or Express Pass or Fast Lane or whatever it is. Like when we go to King's Dominion, we don't go to King's Dominion that often. It's actually closer than Busch Gardens. But when we go to King's Dominion, we almost always buy Fast Lane. And we walk right on every attraction. And that has the Fast Lane attached to it. Right. Not every attraction does. Yeah. But when we want to knock out a couple of coasters back to back to back, it's super duper easy with Fast Lane. And Fast Lane is moderately priced in comparison to Express Passes at Universal, a little higher priced as compared to the multi-pass at Disney. But I think for the number of attractions that participate in the program, it's a fair price. And it's just enough to discourage the average person from buying in for a family of 8. The other side of that is that if you do have a family of 8, you're saving up a lot more to make this kind of splurge. And I recognize that too. I just feel like the reason that it works is because not every single person with a family of 8 is going to do it. Yeah. As compared to the standard queue, which absolutely families of 16, 50, 249 are getting into that line. And it's going to take you a while to get through.
Yeah.
I know I put this one on the list. Do you want to do it since it's your turn, or do you want me to do it?
No, I want to do the next one.
Okay, we'll trade. This is in the same vein. I do want to pick specifically on Disney's virtual queue system because different parks treat this very differently. I know that Jamie and Ari brought up the Six Flags system, which I believe is largely virtual queue based.
Yeah.
They cut your wait time in half using the Flash Pass, and that ultimately just determines how long you're waiting. You get in the line when they tell you to get in the line, and either it cuts your time in half by a quarter or a half. That to me is a completely different system. But I hate the virtual lottery system at Disney.
Yep.
I absolutely despise it with a passion for many of the same reasons that you were talking about with fiddle-faddling on the phone. I do feel like it imposes a 7 a.m. at the absolute latest wake up for your vacation. Hate that. It is stressful. It's super duper stressful, and it prevents you from planning a full day. Most of the time when Disney offers a virtual queue for something, it's because the standard queue isn't open. I hate that too, because I would rather have the autonomy to decide I want to go stand in a 2.5-hour line than to just know I'm not getting on the attraction because I didn't wake up in time to get into the lottery system.
Or you did and you just didn't
you wake up. That's the other thing. So you can totally fail to get in. I get that it's more fair and evenly distributed. If you really want it, you'll go for it. And if you don't get it, at least it was fair and assigned. Like from Disney's perspective, it's win-win. But just like this week, it was announced that the Guardians Cosmic Rewind at Epcot, it's finally coming
Someone
off of the virtual
correct me if I'm
queue.
wrong, but I think that was up for nearly 3 years. I think it would be 3 years in April.
3 years. 3 years. No one could get in the standard queue for that attraction. Not a single person.
Not even when you were there for deluxe evening hours as a deluxe resort guest.
You didn't spend
still
enough.
had to join a virtual
You
queue.
didn't spend enough to be a normal civilian joining a standard queue that day. That is absolutely excessive.
And Jamie and Ari documented this pretty well in one of their videos from I guess a trip in the last year, that like I think Jamie used a fast pass or something and got in line, and he's like, there's no one in the standard queue line, right? Like no one is in the standard queue line right now. Like it would be understandable if the standard queue line were always full, but it wasn't. It was like, what are they even doing?
What they're saying right here is that the virtual queue was empty because they cut the limit for virtual queue boarding groups so small because they're trying to push people towards the lightning lane.
Yeah.
So some of these systems interact in such a way that they've mathed out, if we cap the virtual queue at 30 people per group, then more often than not, people are going to splurge for the pay to ride, because the Cosmic Rewind is on a pay one price to ride one ride system. So if you don't make it into the lottery, you can certainly buy your way onto the ride, but then you've spent extra money that you didn't need to. I feel like just have the option to let people get in the standard queue. I don't care what the conditions are. If it's too hot to stand in a 2.5 hour line, I won't do it.
Yep.
That's up to me. But don't take away the option unilaterally and say that this is this grand alternative. It's not. It sucks. It makes everything more stressful, and it makes it harder for me to get my ideal Disney day.
And we want to make it clear, this is strictly talking about like the virtual queue system, not people who use like disability access. Like that's a totally separate thing.
Yeah.
This is about mostly ragging on Disney's virtual queue. Universal will use virtual queue sometimes. They turn it on for Hagrid. Sometimes you'll see a sign out front that says like Hagrid is operating on a virtual queue.
And the reason they do that is because Hagrid's is in a very congested area where if the line gets too long, they have to start kind of
leaking out,
fielding people and pushing them against it. It becomes more crowd management than anything. And some of that might be what Disney's thinking too, but let's be real.
But
there
was no crowd. Like for Guardians,
they
it's
have
inexcusable.
Space. They've always had space.
I understood it a little bit because we were in Disneyland for the Haunted Mansion queue redoing, and they did lose a lot of their queue.
Disneyland is a more congested area to begin with.
I got that, but it was temporary, and it was for good reason. There was no good reason. There was no excuse for Cosmic. Absolutely not.
To Tim's point, this only works if you've paid for it. If the ride goes down while you're in the virtual, Disney's virtual queue system is not you wait outside of the attraction to eventually board the attraction directly. You are waiting in the standard queue. You are when you scan in for your virtual queue at Disney, typically you're entering what will ultimately be the standard queue line and hasn't been activated yet. And you're waiting in the same length line as a standard queue would be. But whether or not you got on the lottery system is what determines whether or not you're even able to access that line. So if you're thinking Six Flags, where it's, you're elsewhere in the park and you're basically having a timer counted down where you can do other stuff. No, that's not how Disney works. Virtual queues at Disney are absolutely
It's literally just
bad.
Permission to get in line.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Pretty much. There's nothing virtual. It's a misnomer. There's nothing virtual about that queue. You stand in the whole queue line.
Yeah. Virtual queue just means it literally means you have permission to get in the standby line and other people don't.
I miss Zoe getting on. Hi, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
Sorry if you're already gone. All right. I could honestly go another like 40 minutes on that one.
Yeah.
So
tell
me about your hot take. This is also a big problem at Disney, but also other parks.
But other places. My hot take is
there's a big problem at the Steamboat.
Don't get in line
Lake George
without your entire party for anything. Yeah, the boat on our honeymoon, where like it's first come first serve to get a seat on this boat, And this guy is standing in front of us and he says, just so you know, I'm holding a spot for my family. Now, most people would think, okay, spouse, 2 or 3 kids, maybe most. And we're like, that's fine. Maybe they're parking the car and they'll be here. This person had like 18 people they were holding. And we were like, no. So,
And you could
this
tell
doesn't, but
when okay, so just to emphasize this particular story, or embellish upon this particular story, I guess. What literally transpired was, we're on our honeymoon. We're getting on a fireworks cruise. It's an actual boat. It's not a theme park attraction.
No.
It's literally just a line to get on a boat that we've all paid for. And the earlier you get there,
the better
the seat for the fireworks. So we're all standing in the same line. We get in line behind this gentleman. As Katie said, he turns to us with like terror in his eyes because he knows what he's about to say and he knows it's not going to be popular. He says, just so you know, I'm holding a spot for my family. And Katie, being the good heart that she is, of course goes, oh, no problem. How many? And he goes, I remember this. You toned it down quite a bit. 40.
Oh.
40 people. 40 people were being held a spot in line by one guy who got there earlier because the rest of them could not move fast enough to be worth
Man, I guess I
getting
did
a
tone
spot
it down.
in.
I think I saw red so much.
I saw like the color drain from your face, and then I saw the color drain from his face as he realized that he was going to have to fight us.
No.
And ultimately, they didn't show up in time, so it didn't become an issue. But like, you don't. Nobody in their right mind would do that.
Yeah, but all
lots
the
of
time
people,
at theme parks, people get in the line and then
when the line looks like this, it doesn't matter how many people. Like it could be 2, it could be 40, and it's still like I mean it will drive people off the wall. Including
nothing raises my blood pressure more in a theme park line than the excuse me, I'm trying to get to my family. Excuse me, and you watch them go up like 120 people. And I don't care if someone had to use the bathroom. I don't care. I literally do not care. Wait for them and get in line together.
Yep.
And if you're doing it any other way, you are line cutting.
Yep. 100%. And this is actually such a problem at Disney in particular. It's industry wide. It's actually obviously beyond the industry. It's a global issue across every industry that serves customers on a line basis. But it's such a big problem at Disney that the cast members actually make jokes about it. Yeah. Like they will to get up to where they need to be in the queues, sometimes they have to cut through the line, and we've literally heard cast members say, excuse me, my family's up there. Excuse me.
And I've turned around like ready to like death glare, and then I see it's a cast member with a
and they're just making a joke.
They're just making a joke, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you. But
and we can joke about it because we all hate it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yep. If you're in line for Flight of Passage, it can be a long line.
There's a bathroom in the middle.
There's a bathroom.
Get out of line. Use the bathroom. The whole party gets out of line.
The whole party gets out of line. And then you get back in line. Yep. If you want to ride together. If you don't care about your friend who went to the bathroom, that's on you. I
feel like we're into the part of the live stream where like anyone who's ever operated anything in a theme park or been employed by a theme park is going to start agreeing with us very.
I don't know.
Enthusiastically.
It drives me up a wall. It absolutely drives me up a wall.
Most of these are not as hot as they are just like, come on.
Yep.
This one is mine. This is controversial for a number of reasons. But the reason that I say regulated instead of just allowed is because there are parks, many of them local to us. Busch Gardens Williamsburg is one. Disney is another. That's not particularly local, but you get my catch my drift. Knoebels, yes. We also, when we went to Efteling and Toverland overseas, the European parks in the Netherlands also had strict rules about what you can and can't take on the attractions, but all of them allow POV recording. If you're unfamiliar with the art, It is people taking cameras on board roller coasters or rides to give a virtual experience to someone on the internet, or sometimes just for the memories. Most of the time, it's people trying to get views on TikTok, YouTube, etc., etc. We're part of this demographic. Don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on anyone, but what I will pick on is unsanctioned POVs. And unsanctioned POVs are typically people sneaking cameras on board or through attractions using the spy glasses are a big one that I know a lot of people like with a little camera on them. Bringing like the Insta360 or like strapping it to their chest and like zipping it up and hiding it. Look, not all of these approaches are inherently unsafe, but the reason the rest of us suffer for it is because the rules have had to be strict to crack down on those offenses. And if someone catches you with your phone or a camera or whatnot on, let's say, a Six Flags lift hill, the coaster will be stopped on its ascent. Someone will ascend the stairs because they have cameras. They know what you're doing. You're going to have your phone taken away. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, you're going to be kicked out of the park. The reason that I say that POVs should be regulated is because we have found in our travels that parks that allow POVs but have strict requirements on what you can and can't take as far as cameras, as far as mounts, etc., it does cut the unsanctioned POVs down quite a bit. Because the people who really want to go out there, they'll know by asking information in the parks or online, hey, what do I need? I need this harness. I need chest only. I need to have like a 3-point or whatever. If they clearly lay it out, if it's regulated, most people won't go to the trouble of trying to get something better by sneaking it in. There will be some offenders. Don't get me wrong. There always are. But I genuinely feel like the reason that people are always sneaking cameras and phones on board attractions at Legoland, at Universal, at places where filming is strictly prohibited, is because there is no regulation whatsoever. The park just takes the approach of anything that is taking video is a loose object and cannot be taken on the ride. And that works when it works, but I feel like there's more offenses than ever, particularly lately, as everyone has a high-resolution camera in their pocket.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see all the comments because I feel like the other thing too, and the reason that I really think that this should be regulated is because if it's regulated, it puts the burden of responsibility on the security staff and the people at the front desk. If it's not regulated and it's strictly forbidden, it puts the burden of responsibility on the park employees. Like throughout the park, it's going to be the ride operator's job to go up the stairs to the top of the lift hill and take someone's phone away from them, inconveniencing everybody else and making the ride less fun. Versus at the beginning of the day, you go to information, they tell you this harness is okay, make sure it stays locked in its case or whatever. Then you just flash a card for the ride operator like you do at Busch Gardens, and everything happens boom, 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 boom. No ride stoppages. Everyone's happy, including the employees.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not giving you ideas, Zoe. Don't think about anything. This is strictly a unsanctioned POV, those glasses.
Yeah.
And the glasses usually come with the strap and they're not unsafe, but there are occasions when like taking your phone out for sure, but also like having a GoPro that's not properly mounted or having a camera dangling around your neck or whatever, it does become very unsafe given certain contexts and certain attractions.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Hershey is another one that strictly prohibits on-ride filming, and they're very strict about it. I think it varies on attraction. Like on the monorail, no one cares. It's slow moving. On the carousel, no one cares. I've even found just watching that Cup Fusion, people are pretty lax about, letting people
more lax usually
take videos with their phones and whatnot because it's all slow moving and not particularly dangerous. But the rules are what they are. Yep. So I think that across the board, if Hershey had some rules on what do we have, is it a GoPro, does it have 3 points of contact to your body, is it firm and secure, and then we give you a camera card, I think that would be much more effective in cutting down on unsanctioned POVs.
Yeah.
Good God. Like a submarine sandwich? Like a sandwich?
No, like a sub submarine out of the water.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because that would be even more ridiculous.
There was
But the
that
sandwich is
video
kind
that
of a
went
ridiculous
around
picture.
of the person. I think it was either at Carowinds or a Ride Like Fury 325 where
Sandwich,
that
yeah.
guy was like,
What on earth?
where the guy had like, it seemed like he had like pockets full of chip bags, and the attendant was standing there. If someone has seen this video, shout out. But the ride attendant is standing there just like asking this, and this person keeps pulling out like bags of chips from there, and literally just like Doritos and stuff. And it's like, you can see like the employee be like, are there any more? And it's literally like a clown car full of chips in this guy's pocket.
That's, yeah.
All right.
Cedar
I knew
Point.
I could.
Is that
count
the
on
one you were
Tim.
talking about, Tim, with the Magnum XL? Yeah. Yep. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a chip bag, I'll grant you, probably could cause less damage.
But moving at that
But
speed,
moving at
everything
that
becomes
speed,
a projectile.
yeah, absolutely.
An ice cream cone. Yeah, people. I don't have a minimum expectation for intelligence levels on what, like, just in general. I feel like
I don't know
you
if I don't
think
know if
something's
it's
idiot proof, and then the world builds a better
I
idiot.
don't know if it's intelligence level or it's people just do want their 15 minutes of virality.
Sometimes
or
it is,
something.
but I don't know if that particular incident is.
I mean, is it
viral.
worth getting possibly banned from the park?
Well,
Let's
it's
talk
interesting
about it.
that you bring that up, because this is one that you
I
were
brought
pretty
up.
firm about.
Bad
And I agree with
behavior should be penalized.
And I added the U to behavior and spelled it the British
Ooh,
way
you did.
because I have a picture from Thorpe Park.
Oh, wow! Someone let them take a picture of the security check. That's interesting. Must be promo.
I mean, yes, I think it is more.
Okay.
It was. It's from
'Cause
Thorpe
we-
Park. That's all I know about the photo. I don't know who these people are. I don't know their lives.
Oh. Yeah. Some policies and things that have been popping up lately. So most people have heard of something called a chaperone policy. This is something that the Cedar Fair and Six Flags parks have implemented. I think Cedar Fair across the board for their parks. I
Busch
don't know
Gardens
about
did it for Hollowscreen.
some do
not
it
for-
for particular events, but this basically means like it can be different depending on the park, but like anyone under the age of 16 or 14 or whatnot has to be accompanied by an adult like 21 years of older for the remainder of their visit.
It might be coming.
Sometimes it's after like 4 o'clock, sometimes it's all day, but there's just been a rise in guest misbehavior. And I will state that I've seen plenty of guest misbehavior from teens and adolescents.
And full-grown
And
hunters.
Jared. And also full-grown adults who absolutely should know better and do better. So I don't want to put it all on the teens. There's some
I think
some teens watching this video now, and I don't want to disparage your character in
it's
general.
definitely not a teenager problem. But the chaperone policies are essential because not exclusively to target one group, but because a lot of folks, unfortunately, have for the past decade seen amusement parks and theme parks as free daycare.
Babysitter.
Yeah, they basically, if they can't parent their kids for one reason or another, will drop their kids off to run rampant, and the park takes care of all of the kid management. And unfortunately, I have seen with my own eyes some decline in behavior at Hershey Park, which is our home park.
Yeah.
So I'll stand by what Tim said, that the teens can get a little bit unruly at Hershey.
Yeah.
But again, it's not a uniquely teenage problem.
Yeah.
The chaperone policy cuts down on some of the chaos. It does not 100% solve it.
And there's no one's watching the chaperone to make sure that they're attending these adolescents at all times.
Did Zoe get kicked out of Fun Spot?
There's no reason a 20-year-old can't go to fun. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know why a 20-year-old would have.
I think a 20-year-old should be allowed to go, but a 21-year-old should definitely not. Because as soon as you can have alcohol, it all goes down.
Well, it's funny you bring up alcohol. We also think that a lot of the misbehavior from adults is centered around
Consumption drinking.
of alcoholic beverages and maybe some other substances as well. But most parks, I don't think, allow many other substances outside of alcohol, or serve them, certainly. But yeah, I mean, without naming names, most people saw the video of the grown ass adults bathing in a fountain at Epcot in the last year or so.
Or the people who scaled the wall to get down to a port in the lagoon to have a smoke break. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what purpose it served. They weren't trying to go viral. They didn't understand that they could go viral. They were just going down there to smoke.
Sneaking into areas people shouldn't be. It's happened at Hershey before.
It gets more coverage at the Disney parks because the Disney parks, by their very nature,
have so many news outlets already.
There's Disney-specific news outlets that will pick up on every little story. So the
any
slightest
altercation between guests or a cast member.
But it happens everywhere. I think earlier this year, Busch Gardens had an issue in the parking lot where there was actually like a potential firearm. I don't know how much of that is true and how much of that we heard secondhand, but altercations happen everywhere. Misbehavior happens everywhere. Disney is just, I think, where it gets covered the most.
Yeah.
But we've seen across the haunt industry as well as the theme park industry just a gradual decline in guest behavior since the pandemic.
And also, like, these are not as obvious examples, but I think about things like the brand new fun queue that opened at Mickey's Runaway Railway in Disneyland. And within days, within weeks, things were broken, missing. Like, people were stealing the ornaments off Pluto's tree. Like, stop. This is why we can't have nice things, people.
I think we've lost the ability to trust guests to behave. Like, just across the board, like, we're not going to have interactive stuff.
If someone's going to ruin my day at a theme park, it's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be another guest, not a team member.
Yeah.
Not
an attraction
going down, nothing like that. It's going to be what someone said or did who's also a guest there. Yeah.
Oof.
Ooh, that's fun.
That's
great.
And see, this is why the point that we were trying to make is not that this is happening. I think we all know this is happening. Like, everyone, whether you've been in a theme park, around a theme park, or work in a theme park or not, we're all aware of the guest decline, or the decline in guest behavior, because we've seen it go viral on TikTok 100 times over the last year. The last year alone, even. Not even like the last several years. The point is, there should be penalties for this behavior. It can't be just a slap on the wrist and you get told.
If you're a grown adult climbing the pyramid at Epcot,
and at Disney, they do ban you at Disney. They are very strict about keeping people in line at Disney because their whole brand thrives on family-friendly entertainment and safe spaces. If you're creating an unsafe space, they will do their best to track you down and let you know that you're not welcome back.
If you're sneaking into a cast member or employee-only area or a active construction zone, banned.
Yep.
For life. You're done.
And that subtly hinting at some of what has gone on in local parks that we're aware of just because of...
I'm not naming names.
We're not naming names, but we are part of those communities and we are aware of things that go on like this in the parks that are not covered. And smaller parks will often take... In the United States, I will say this too, I've not heard of any of this happening in the UK or Europe.
And it probably has to.
It probably has. But like in terms of penalties though. In the US... Smaller parks that rely on being known as a destination that are in the process of growing their brands, sometimes they will take the slap on the wrist approach. They'll say, don't be naughty, and you can come back in a couple of weeks. And I feel like that just encourages further bad behavior.
What lesson was learned here?
Yep.
Nothing.
So I am 100% behind stricter penalties. There have been times, and I'm not elevating myself above any of this. I'm elevating myself above the gradual like bad behavior TikTok. I have in the past, before we started a YouTube channel, before we were familiar with park rules, inadvertently violated the rules by taking my phone on an attraction. I feel like if I had been reprimanded, I never would have done it again. Fortunately, now I know the rules and I follow them a little better. But this is just to say that like if you knowingly, insistently for virality or any other reason, break park rules, there should be penalties and they should be enforced.
Yeah.
And
not
sometimes
every,
they're not.
And not every, and I say throwing the word banned around a lot. I'm not saying that I feel like the ambassador from Parks and Rec who's like, straight to jail, straight to jail. I'm not saying like not every
Chips on a right, jail.
Not every disciplinary action should involve a ban. I think some should. I think sneaking into an
I think the punishment should fit the crime. Like,
exactly. You sneak your phone onto a ride. Maybe you get escorted out of the park that day and
come back tomorrow.
And you're allowed to come back, but
you have one strike against you, and they'll look for your phone the next time.
Yeah, maybe there's something like that. Or maybe you just get a stern talking to by security, and they show you, what happens when your phone gets, maybe it's a little bit of like what we got in driver's ed, where it's like, hey, you want to drive fast? Here's what happens when you drive fast. Maybe it's a little bit of that, but
it's actually, that's a perfect analogy, because if you drive fast once and nobody gets hurt, you get a stern talking to and a ticket. The ticket is the penalty. You drive fast several times, you get reckless driving. Ultimately, you get your license taken away. Yeah. And if you hurt someone, you do go to jail. So I think like escalating penalties, it's not like the theme parks that we frequent don't have the technology in place to manage guests, to know what guest is doing what on what attraction. Even the smaller parks do have this technology. It's a lot to keep track of, and I understand like you want to grow and you don't want to be pessimistic, or you certainly don't want to be the subject of a news story for cracking down too hard.
Right.
But I do feel like if there aren't some penalties, and if they aren't regularly enforced, it just encourages worse behavior. And then we ultimately wind up where we are now, where everyone is doing whatever they want all the time to get on TikTok, and a couple of them get banned. The rest of them ruin the park for the rest of us.
Yep. Skyrush.
I have accidentally taken my phone on Skyrush. I wasn't fool enough to pull it out of my pocket, fortunately.
Well,
but
some with rides like Skyrush, if it's not secured in your pocket, it could fall out.
Yep. I had cargo pants that day, so fortunately. I mean, you can. It's very widely discouraged that you do that, but even on like Hagrid's Magical Creature Motorbike Adventure, I know that like at some point we went through the whole line and I had forgotten to take my phone out.
He didn't take his phone out.
I didn't say he took it out.
Okay.
I'm not accusing anyone.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
I'm saying that I didn't.
You said you brought your phone on Skyrush once, but you didn't take it out. I assumed you were commenting on that. Sorry.
No, you're making accusations out of simple facts. Statement of facts. I was not accusing you, Tim. However, I am saying that on Hagrid's Once Upon a Time at Universal, we left all of our earthly belongings in the locker, except our phones that we forgot and we took through. And we asked when we got to the front, because we'd never been on the attraction before, do we need to go back and put these away? And the cast member, what do we call them at Universal? The wizard at the front of the line said, you can take them if you trust your pockets, but on your heads be it if they come out.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And I think that's a fair approach too.
I ended up putting my phone in your cargo pant pocket because girl pockets suck. Who can say it with me?
That is the number one reason why coaster enthusiasts are always in cargo shorts, is because we're always forgetting to take our phones out of our pockets and having to zip them in.
Yeah. I didn't say this exactly. I touched on alcohol, but we won't get into it, but I do think there's something to be said for drink limits and whatnot. I think that may be part of the problem for adults who are of age and then become belligerent children after they drink too much.
I agree. I don't think that's a battle we're going to win, but that is a.
But for the sake of time,
for the sake of hot takes, it is something.
I'll move on. But thank you for listening to my TED Talk about bad guest behavior.
Tim, this one is just for you. Ready? And also for Zoe, I guess, because she's a different theme park employee. Employees should get more training and better incentives. This is not a knock on the training that they do receive. At different parks, and I am thinking a lot about Disney, but I'm also thinking about parks like Efteling, where, and again, I don't think Efteling can do any wrong in my book. I'm sure they can, but I haven't experienced it. But park employees at major theme parks like Walt Disney World, Universal, Efteling, these are careers. I guess that's the end of the sentence. Like, these are treated as careers, not as summer jobs. And there's nothing wrong with taking on a summer job at a theme park or a amusement park. And I think it's great that kids who want to do that are getting that experience. But when you treat a job opportunity with a major theme park as a career, not only are you getting better pay than most of the smaller parks can afford to give you for a summer job, you're also getting more training across the board. You're getting more career growth potential. You can move laterally, or you can move up and become supervision. I feel like if more park employees were trained the same way that, say, the Disney 3-month training program puts people through boot camp and then gives them like
a mentor.
It's certainly not, and I'm leaning on Disney as an example. I know that program is not perfect.
Yes.
I realize 100%.
Want to make sure
you are not getting paid enough for what you're putting up
Yes.
with on the day-to-day. And it also, like, it needs to be a livable salary. But that's my point. Like, I think across the board, a lot of theme park jobs, amusement park jobs, are treated as entry-level summer jobs. Things that anyone can do with a couple weeks of training, or maybe even a month of training. And I honestly, it's not that the training itself as a regimen is lacking. It's that you don't have time in that short window to teach a 14 to a 16-year-old how to deal with someone having a heart attack in line, or how to break up a fight, or how to, the things that happen on a day-to-day basis in the parks that are just like the hospitality industry.
Training them to tell someone to put their phone away, because it can be hard to confront a guest like that. And when you're 16 years old and the 45-year-old man made out of muscle is in front of you doing something wrong, like, they need extra training, and they need
you can see how we came to this immediately after going through the rules. The rules are there for a reason, and the penalty should be enforced, bullet point. But like, this is the thing. There's an Australian comedian that I really like who made a good point about, like, security at schools. If Dave is being paid $15 an hour to confront a major crisis, that's not a lot of leeway to be a hero. Whereas in the theme parks, it's the same thing. Like, you don't want to be responsible as a youngin' taking on your very first summer job for breaking up fights and enforcing penalties, taking away phones from grown adults who are misbehaving, so on and so forth. That is something that you need additional resources to prepare you for. That is also something that you should be paid more for dealing with. So I feel like Tim encapsulated it perfectly. Amusement park employees are severely underappreciated, and they always have been. That's why if a theme park or an amusement park employee tells us to do something, whether or not it's part of the official rules, whether or not we agree with it, we do it and we say thank you. Because we know that more often than not, they've had a rough day and they deserve to be heard. So I can't speak enough to.
And I think like Disney and Universal possibly do this better. We don't have personal experience working for either one of those companies, so anyone feel free to let us know we're totally wrong. But it does seem like
we have a lot of friends who
do have friends who've been through, either been employees or been through the college program or things like that. I feel like, especially in this day and age, like there should be other acceptable avenues of a career path than just, go to college, get a degree, spend a heck of a lot of money, and then waste away in an entry-level position that apparently you're not even qualified for. So like the fact that, people, I'm inspired by the stories of people who say, oh yeah, I started working for Disney as a ticket taker person when I was 16 years old. Now I'm 57 and I'm head of this department or whatever.
It can be a career role. Like you can make a career out of working in a theme park or an amusement park for sure, but it's much, much harder to do outside of those big entertainment giants because, one, you don't get paid enough to live on. Two, the guest behavior is self-defeating. Like you go to work every day and you're like, I really like operating the roller coaster, but I hate dealing with all the chaos that these customers are providing me.
And how can you expect someone to be like greeting you with a smile all day, every day, if they've been treated like crap all day by fellow guests? You know, like it would be nice if
this is also a plea for everyone who's listening to this live stream
be
to
nice
be
to
respectful to the park employees and the staff when you visit a theme park, whether or not
which
it's
I don't
Disney
feel like
or
is a hot take. I
it
think
really
that's
isn't.
just common
The hot
courtesy.
take is, I guess, that people are underappreciated.
Well, I think the hot take was said. Well, you said like employees should be better trained and better incentivized. I think that's the hot take, if there is any.
That may not be a hot take within the community. That's a hotter take at the corporate level.
Yeah.
I think that there are things that Disney does better than other entities, Disney and Universal and Efteling and Toverland and the places that we know, like we follow people who work for all of these places. And I think that there is an incentive to do a better job and to take more pride in your work when you're actually paid what you're worth and when you're trained to handle difficult situations. I just feel like it's not too much to ask to cut the employees a bit of a break from the top down.
Yep.
On that note, sorry, hold on. On this note, I guess. Oh no.
Oh.
Tim, it happens to the best of us, man. We've all had that day at work, theme park or not.
That my day at work was like 2.5 weeks ago.
That was our final hot take.
It
officially.
was.
So we made it through. We talked a lot more than I think we were thinking we would.
I really thought this one would go quick, but
I know,
I think y'all provided enough conversation.
The sounding boards were helpful. I do have a creator spotlight this week that I think is a perfect transition, because I started following her very recently when I stumbled across one of her vlogs. Thank you, algorithm, for feeding me such wonderful content. But it almost was. This creator, her name is Charlotte, not to be confused with Theme Park Worldwide Charlotte, but this is a Dutch vlogger.
Oh, that's a cute channel name.
Charlotte's Theme Park Tales. Instagram and YouTube are the primary. And she's just so sweet and kind and appreciative of everything that the park employees do. And this is why I was like, this is a perfect transition for this one, because her actual, if you're not a Dutch-speaking native, you do not have to be. Most of her content is done in English, but she is based in the Netherlands and she does a lot of travel to the European theme parks. And so I've just taken to kind of like putting it on in the background sometimes. It's like, I just love listening to her positive outlook on everything. Even the stuff that she doesn't totally enjoy, she's like, well, that wasn't as good as it could have been, but we're going to go over here and have a nice time.
Have you put on videos of hers?
Yes.
Okay, I do know who you're talking about.
Yes.
I do know.
It is passive viewership for sure, but I do get sidetracked and sucked in often. Yeah. So I highly recommend checking out Charlotte and any other theme park vloggers in her circle. I'm sure they're all wonderful. Our next live stream will be on March 11th. I'm hoping that we will not have to push another one for a while, so we should be back in the saddle, as it were, for the minute. We don't tell you what the topics are going to be anymore because we don't plan them.
Yeah, half the time we don't know anymore.
We don't know any more than you do. But it has been fun, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us rant. Hold on, let's see how many subscribers we have.
Oh, you can't know. You have to wait 24 hours.
I'll still wait 24 hours. Oh, we haven't lost any yet. Guys, you still love us after all that? I feel like we should have lost a couple.
Why are you asking for the universe to deliver on this?
I'm anti-manifesting. Okay. I'm preventing by doubling down. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been really fun. We hope we haven't alienated anyone, but these are our takes. They may not be yours.
Feel free to continue leaving your hot takes in the comments.
Feel free to follow up in the comments after the live gets published. Yep. Yeah, we would love to interact more with you guys, and we appreciate you chiming in with your hot takes as we went. Thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, I have been Tim.
I am still Katie.
And every night
is a new adventure.
And we'll see you again soon.